Alright, so today I'm going to do an update for my Deadeye build. I came out with a video a while ago. It's actually hands down my most popular video, talking about the Deadeye set in PvP, how great it was, how fun it was. It's got well over 100,000 views. I forget what it's at now. Really thankful to everybody who supported that video, but I'm actually going to do an update to that now. I've improved the set my build of that set tremendously. It's a really solid PvP set now, and I have a lot of fun. And one thing that I want to note about it is, in my opinion, it is a direct shotgun counter, okay? It directly counters shotguns because you can fight them from basically any distance, no matter how far away they are, and you can, get a superior position and then kill them before they can get to you. And I'm going to show some gameplay to demonstrate this. It was really fun. I haven't had that much fun playing The Division in a long time. I was perched up on this like sniper loft place and covering my teammates. It was a really fun time. So I'm going to get right into it and talk about my gear, my weapons, my skills and my talents and stuff. And actually, I did all the gameplay, it looks like, without a magazine on my my SASG here. So, because I'm fresh off the tails of doing the gameplay, and now I'm going to do the build review itself. But anyway, so this build with 4-piece Deadeye differs from my original build because I am no longer using 2-piece Hunter's Faith, okay? I'm using 4-piece Deadeye with the Reckless chest piece and then just the best backpack that I had available, considering that I don't really need the Savage Gloves because critical hit chance is 100%, and I don't really need anything else other than high stamina roll. So there's no other one piece. Maybe the Tenacious Mask. That's actually one correction I could make. Sub in the Tenacious Mask if I were to switch out to a different piece of Deadeye. But I don't actually have a Deadeye backpack right now, and especially not one that I'd be willing to use. So this is what I'm running with right now. It's very functional. It's very powerful, and I like it a lot. So I'm going to talk about the 4-piece Deadeye, then the Reckless piece, then my Striker piece, and then I'll talk about my M1A, how I've modded it, and then my skills and talents and things like that. So the first thing is this Deadeye Mask. It's a 268, much better than 214 that I previously had, increases the build's potency. It has skill power on it. I don't need critical hit chance, and that's the only comparable major attribute that could be rolled on a mask in my opinion. So I definitely have that skill power to make my smart cover more powerful, which is what I'm going to be using in the video, but also for something like your pulse, if you're going to be using pulse with critical hit damage, so that you can get higher crits, since every single shot is a critical strike. 5,500 skill power, very nice. Scavenging, not really relevant. Sticky Bomb, explosion radius, not that great. I'm not going to be using Sticky Bomb at all. But, the key is it's a high firearms Deadeye mask with skill power as a major attribute. So, the mods I'm going to be using are actually firearms mods, most of them, some of them stamina, and I have a couple that have armor to achieve the armor cap, since you definitely want to armor cap yourself at all times with whatever build you're doing at 75%. For anyone who's wondering, the number for the hard cap is 5354. That's 5,354 armor. Anything above that, you don't need anymore, but as soon as you hit that number, you'll have maxed out 75% mitigation, and you're free to use your mods for anything else. So now I'm going to move on to my pads, excuse me, my pads. 21% critical hit damage, by far the best thing you can have for a Deadeye build, because the crit is all going to scale really nicely, especially paired with Reckless. Really nice stamina roll, so these are some perfect pads for the build. This is an update, a more min-max version. I had a barely functional build last time and had a lot of fun, and it was very effective, and now it's just, even more fun and even more powerful. So marksman rifle critical hit damage, I've unlocked all the Deadeye set piece bonuses, and then stamina with armor. That's the second armor mod to achieve this armor cap, especially because I'm not rolling armor on my pads. I'm, sacrificing it in lieu of the more powerful critical hit damage. I do have stamina with armor, and the toughness is much better than it was previously. So 423,000. I forget what the exact number is in my previous video. I think it was maybe under 400. I'm not really sure, but it is better. I know that. Maybe not so much, but it definitely is a boost. And then the DPS output is much higher as well. So moving on to my gloves. These are actually the same gloves I was using before, I believe. 12% damage to elites. I don't need critical hit damage or critical hit chance because it's 100%. So I don't need critical hit chance on the major attribute on my gloves. I have marksman rifle damage, 2,000, over 2,000. That's really great. You definitely want that. It's going to boost the potency of the build a huge amount. And then critical hit damage. That one is key as well. So you need marksman rifle damage and critical hit damage. The third one is really up to you. I chose damage to elites because I don't need critical hit chance. It would be a useless stat, especially for Deadeye. So I have damage to elites. It does help me clear out NPCs faster in situations where I need to. Seeker Mind damage, much prefer, first aid self-heal or something to do with pulse. Maybe something to do with smart cover in this instance because I am using that. But, it's not really a make or break attribute for the gloves. They are 240s. They could be a little bit better at 268, but the build is much improved over last time, so that's why I'm doing the video. I then have this holster, Deadeye Quick Draw holster. This is a 214. I have not yet found a better piece. You know, it does have armor in the major attribute slot and low rolls all around. Low 500s for firearms. So right there, if you had a 268, it would be a vastly improved build. Now, again, this is already miles ahead of what my previous build was, so that's the only reason I'm doing a video, but there's still a lot of room to improve. A fully min-max Deadeye build is just absolutely unstoppable, and I'm still working towards that goal. So I could have much better rolls across the board on this holster, but it does have armor in a major attribute slot, which means it's about as valuable as a holster can be. You know, armor in your holster and on your chest piece are both critical. You really need that. So those are the two most important pieces to have armor on, and I do. So that's very nice. That's why I'm using this 214 still. Moving on to my Reckless chest piece. This is the same Reckless chest piece I use in most of my builds. I have yet to find a better one. Good firearms roll, has the Reckless talent, 13.5% EDR, very nice for surviving stickies, flamethrowers, and grenades in the dark zone, and then a really great armor roll. Again, critical to roll armor on your chest piece and your holster in order to achieve that armor cap. It has ammo capacity, and actually with the rumored nerf or change that's coming to the police backpack and the paramedic pack, having ammo capacity on your gear is actually going to become crucial. You're going to need it, because if you switch to gear that has 0% ammo capacity increased, you're not going to be able to carry hardly any ammunition. The blatantly overpowered and bullet spongy enemies in the dark zone that they have not done anything to address are just going to suck all the ammo out of your stores, and you're going to have to go to a checkpoint every 15 seconds to restock. It's going to be really stupid, it's going to be really slow paced, and everybody's going to be annoyed, especially because every time you try to go to a checkpoint, you have aggro from some unknown enemy and can hardly even go in. So that's a whole different thing, and stay tuned for part 2 of, you know, 13 things you won't hear in the division, and I'll give some sarcastic, you know, feedback on what I think of the change to the paramedic and police backpack. But so ammo capacity will be important. Sorry for the tangent there. And then down to my mods in the chest piece. Stamina mods with skill power. Now, if you are using pulse or smart cover, skill power is super important, so that's why I have both of these. It could be a little bit higher, but at the same time, it's working well for me. And you know, 19,000 is enough to make my skills relevant. I would much prefer something like 25, 26,000, but that's not achievable when I'm actually sacrificing, you know, skill power on the backpack for, you know, critical hit damage, which I believe I am. So moving on to my backpack, it's a Striker's pack. It's just a really great roll that I have. 21% critical hit damage. Now this could be a large chunk of skill power, which is something that some people may opt to go for, and you're welcome to do so. I chose critical hit damage. I just think it scales better. I haven't run the exact numbers on it, so if it does actually have better scaling to have skill power and you get more damage out of that, please go ahead and let me know. I'd love to hear about that. But for me, critical hit damage functions well. That's why I'm using it. Really great stamina roll on the backpack, and then ammo capacity, 52%. Again, with the incoming changes, I'm actually starting to preemptively build for that. I'm trying to actually find more ammo capacity pieces and incorporate them organically into my builds already, so that I don't have to change much about my playstyle in order to fully take advantage of the content even after they completely gut my ability to carry ammo. Smart cover duration, that's really nice considering I will be using smart cover, and ballistic shield health, not really relevant. I'm not unlocking any bonuses for strikers. You know, unfortunately, I wish there was a 2-piece bonus that would pair very nicely with this, but Reckless chest piece is better than the only 2-piece ones that I can find that would help my damage. You could use 2-piece final measure if you want to, increase survivability, totally viable. If you do use some alternative version of this with 4-piece Deadeye and 2-piece anything else, let me know what it is. I'd love to hear the feedback. You know, post it in the Facebook community. Link is in the description. Some really great builds going around there, some feedback and stuff like that. So it works really nice. Now moving on to my guns. I'm not going to talk about my shotgun. Your secondary is not really relevant. But if you want to, you can have a shotgun with good talents, or an LMG or an SMG or an AR. It's just really user's preference on that. The thing that matters is the M1A. You know, specifically, you are going to be using an M1A with this build in your primary slot, and how you mod it. So my M1A has Deadly, Accurate, and Prepared. I've sacrificed Brutal, considering that they have now patched everything about Deadeye in terms of the Brutal glitch and things like that. You don't need Brutal. You're not going to get any bonus from that, but Deadly is critical. So you want Deadly on your M1A to pair with Deadeye for sure. Accurate is nice if you're going to be hip firing, but in my case, I'm not really hip firing from the position that I'm at in the gameplay footage that I have. So Accurate could be, you know, sacrificed for something else. And then Prepared. I would much prefer Competent in the 3rd slot, for sure. That would actually increase the damage on the build significantly. There's a lot of different things that would be better than Prepared, but from the position that I'm at in this video, I do actually proc Prepared some of the time, so I am getting a bonus from it. It's not useless. Accurate, you know, could be something much better. If you are looking for something that can still function while fully scoped in, You could replace accurate with brutal, because once you actually hard scope and aim through the actual reticle, you'll get the headshot bonus damage back, but you won't be able to crit, I believe. If I'm wrong about that, again, please correct me in the comments and give more information on how Deadeye actually functions, but to my understanding, that's how it works. So that's my M1A. Now stepping back, I'm going to look at my abilities. For this one, I am using Smart Cover, with the Recharger mod. That's nice for me, recharge your skills, get your health back, especially if you're in a lofty, secluded position. You're going to want that. It's going to be really nice. You could also, very easily use something like Concealment, because in your, lofty, out-of-the-way position, you don't want to be able to be pulsed, because an enemy sniper could hit you. And honestly, if you have this mod on, sometimes they can't even find you for long periods of time. In my case, they knew exactly where I was. They just couldn't get to me. But there are some really fun and creative ways to now snipe people without them even knowing you're there. And it takes them a while to find you. It's getting more realistic in that regard, and I like it a lot. And I think that the Dark Zone is becoming more dynamic the more that I start to expand my playstyle. That's one of the #1 ways to counter shotguns. Just expand your play style, play in different ways, get out of this rut of run and gun right in your face, up close and personal. Try something out. Try something else out, and this to me is just a really fantastic way of doing that. So then I have, Heal with Overdose, of course. That's for personal survivability. I'm definitely going to use that in pretty much every build that I run, unless I'm using Vigorous Chest Piece with Booster Shot, but in this case I'm not. And then I have Tactical Link. I could use Survivor Link if I wanted to be more tanky and, have a chance to get out of sticky situations. But, being secluded like I am and, being the far back, not really support, but recon sniper type character, I do like to have Tactical Link. And I'm running this on more and more of my builds now because I think it's very viable. Then I'm going to go into my talents. I have Triage. I actually should have switched One is None a long time ago, but I haven't. And what you can do is switch that out for really anything that you think is going to be valuable. There is only 3, talents in this build that I would consider to be critical. Outside of that, you can use whatever you want. I would probably say tech support, considering you're going to have, smart cover active, and if you kill a target, it'll extend the smart cover, allow you to keep smart cover up 100% of the time. So that's one that I would really recommend. But it's not really critical to the build, considering in PvP, you're not going to be killing targets yourself most of the time, especially from a secluded position. If you down a target, it's not the same as killing them. So you'd actually have to shoot them a few more times, actually kill them while they're in a down state in order to proc tech support. Now, one of the critical ones is Triage, Heal an Ally. Now, you're not going to be using this all that often, but from a higher elevation position like I was, I could have been shooting my heal on the ground for my teammates more, and I should have been doing that, but I wasn't. But that is one way you can take advantage of Triage. The heal has a very long range, actually, and if you shoot it towards the ground. So from a higher elevation, you can actually pick and choose where you want to put it so that your teammates can take advantage of it. So Triage is valuable. Critical save, medkits, always in every build. I like this a lot. I actually got some feedback from a subscriber saying that critical save procs with heals, it procs with support stations, and it procs with medkits. I don't know if that's true or not, but if that is true, that makes critical save by far the most powerful talent to run in any build, hands down in my opinion, aside from maybe Triage. Because if you have a support station down and you're at low health and you're getting that 10 seconds of bonus mitigation every time it heals you, which is every single second, that means essentially you can have a much tankier character whenever you're in that last health bar all the time, 100% uptime, which is really nice. And I'll have to do some more testing on that. And if you have any specific feedback about that, please let me know in the description below, or below the description with a comment, with some feedback. The community is growing really well. The discussion's great. And overall, it's just a really positive experience. So then Strike Back. I use this because if you reach low health for whatever reason, even if you're secluded and you're well protected, you will get 20% cooldown reduction, which means your heal comes back, your smart cover comes back, and overall it's really valuable. So that's what I'm running. And then really quickly, I'm going to look at my character sheet. A lot of people have been requesting this, and I try to remember every time now. The most critical statistics are going to be critical hit chance at 100% because of Deadeye, and then critical hit damage at 133%, and headshot damage 80%, which is not really relevant. This is the big number, critical hit damage. You want that as high as possible, paired with the highest possible base damage, and then your scaling will be off the charts, and you'll do just massive, per bullet damage every time you're shooting with a critical strike. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to scroll through really quickly in case anyone has any other, questions about this. They can pause the video and see exactly what all of my statistics are. So now that I've done that, we're good, and I'm going to throw it over to some gameplay and talk about why I'm doing the things I'm doing and how well it's working. Okay, so I actually downed a player right before I started recording because I forgot to hit the button really quickly, which would have been something good to include, but this is going to be some good footage. As you can see, I'm way out of the way. I have free reign to shoot whoever I want, whenever I want, and I really didn't help my teammate there. Disturbed actually died because I wasn't quick enough on the sticks to drop that guy. I wish I could have done more damage and helped, but as you can see there, I did drop one of the two that were shooting me before I went down, and I did go down. That's my own fault for not healing quick enough, for not, realizing that and retreating to a better position, back along the cover I was in. But my teammate does come revive me, so a big thank you to him for that. And I do continue, the rampage. Now, I really like this position. This is the first time I've ever sniped from here. I think it's great fun. It's so much fun to be out of the way and have, this free reign to shoot whatever you want without taking damage. I do get shocked there. And if I had been a little bit quicker on the reload, I probably would have not been shocked. But you can see I do massive critical hits, 22,000 there, 22,000 every time, then down to 16. And I can drop people, at will. I can choose a target and just take them down whenever I feel like it. It's a whole lot of fun. I like this position a lot. I'll probably be doing a lot of manhunts from here in the future, just because, Deadeye works so well. I mean, someone that has a shotgun build, if I'm intentionally fighting every player that I see, they come out of that checkpoint and they run down this street, unless they're prepared to come out of a different checkpoint and run a lot farther, which most people aren't. Let's be real. They just smash their fingers on the buttons and come out the closest checkpoint. That's what I do. I know that most players do that as well. They're going to come from this checkpoint that I'm aiming at right now. And while, some people may say I'm camping a checkpoint right now, I guess I kind of am, considering my optimal range. But, they could run away. They could leave. Right now it's just a really good showcase, and it's really fun to snipe characters that are really far away. So I have all this distance. Someone that's running a really powerful shotgun build, which one guy in here is, I forget his name, it's something like Trendy Current Trends or something. Treads Bullets right there. He's running a very powerful shotgun build, but he can't touch me. No matter where he's coming from, I have a line of sight on him. I have plenty of distance before he can actually one-shot me to pump out damage, which puts him, on his heels. He has to heal. He has to use a med kit, something like that. As you can see, if your aim is on point, the potential for this build is unlimited. I did drop that guy running behind the Humvee. I did move on to this guy, Quantum, laid great damage down on him. And overall, it's a really fun position as well as build to pair with it. And as soon as you start adjusting your playstyle, shotguns become a lot less annoying, is what I've found. Once I finally, and I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting really close to breaking that mentality of I need to be in your face doing damage, trading headshots. It doesn't work anymore. It's really just a crapshoot of who can pull the trigger first and get that headshot, especially if both of you are using M870s with good talents. So I don't like that. I think, any type of lottery gameplay, I mean, that's what Call of Duty is. It's a slot machine. You spawn, you run down a random path, and odds are you'll probably see someone and kill them with their back turned to you or get killed by them. And over the course of a match, you'll get kills. This game is a lot different than that. This game in particular requires strategy. It requires positioning, which is super key. I actually have a video about that in our Squad v Squad series, why positioning is the most important thing in the division. And once you've, grasped that, and once you started to play like that, the game actually, trends closer towards this cover-to-cover shooter, which is really how it was intended to be played, and I enjoy playing it like that. I did like 1.1, where everybody had sentry marking with an SMG, which was totally overpowered, but it was kind of fun. You run up and everybody's in their face melting each other. It was enjoyable PvP, but now that I've adjusted my own perspective on the game, I'm having more fun with this PvP. I do massive damage. I think I saw a 30,000 critical strike back there on that player. You do well over 20,000 most of the time, pretty much all the time. If you have a good pulse augmented with your smart cover, you just do great damage. You can drop people in 3 or 4 shots. And with the M1A and the high rate of fire, those 3 or 4 shots are very quick. And if you stack accuracy, if you can get that reticle to zoom back in very quick, you can hit 3 or 4 shots in a very short period of time, as you can see right there. Boom, he's done, over 30,000, and dropped him from very far away. If he is a shotgun user, if his primary build is a shotgun build, then he is 100% countered to the max by my positioning and build. Pretty much anyone that is running something like the M870 shotgun build is. Now, I do come down here. I did run out of ammo. I only have 3 shots. And I started using my shotgun as a backup. And as you can see, it's still functional. So you're not entirely defenseless after you use up all of your sniper ammunition. If you have, good aim, if you are quick on the sticks and you have a coordinated squad, then you're still going to do a great job, be able to drop people. I do have an SASG with nice talents. In the 3rd slot, it actually has determined. It's not something that I'm super amped about. I wish it had responsive. My shotgun could be much better. But this build, it does offer diversity. You could have an assault rifle if you wanted to, or, an SMG. But I do like that kind of contrast of I have a very long range build where I can shoot them from down the street, and then I have a very close range build. So from medium range, that's my counter. So someone using an SMG who can actually hover in the medium to slightly farther range away from me, especially when I'm out of sniper ammo, is going to have the most luck. Now, positioning isn't going to make sure that they can kill me, considering Deadeye is very versatile. And even if you're hip firing, you're still going to get the same amount of damage, provided you can hit the shots. But it is going to have an effect. So someone with a really good SMG build, that would be what I would consider to be the closest thing to a counter that Deadeye has. And then if you have a shotgun build and they're only using their Deadeye, sniper, then you can get up close, and that's a counter as well. So now I'm down here. We're all kind of milling around. This is much more traditional PvP. This is more in meta, up in your face, run and gun. But I do actually, climb back up to my perch because I do prefer this. I think that now that I've found this spot, I'm going to stream later today for sure, and we're definitely going to be developing a much better streaming schedule in the future and doing it a lot more often. But I'm going to be using this spot for sure. This is so much fun. So as you can see, I did run out of ammo again, but if I had enough ammo to stay up there indefinitely, for instance, if I had used the Lone Star ammo capacity thing with the police backpack, I could have stayed up there for a much longer period of time and gotten a lot more enjoyment and fun and longer, manhunts out of the build. But I did come back down and start fighting these players. I do end up dying. I'm going to show that. Excuse me. I'm not going to edit that out. I thought about it, as always. I don't really like dying, publicly, but it's a good showcase. The build is not infallible. I will die to superior firepower, especially if I'm up close like this. I do make a good attempt of running around using cover right. I do drop a few more players and, use smart cover on this lift repeatedly. But my team does back up. I wasn't paying attention. It was my own fault. I was out of position by myself very soon, as you'll see, and I died because of it. And that will happen. So it's important, as important as having a good build, it's important to have a squad with good communication. So using that as a base point, I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit and start to do my announcements before the video ends. The Facebook community that we have started is amazing, okay? I've actually gotten a lot of feedback from people who have even said, I didn't want to play the Division anymore. I thought it sucked and I was done with it until I found the Facebook community. So I'm just going to throw that out there and say, anyone that wants to find a squad, this game is so much better in a squad. You get so much more out of it. Go ahead and click the link in the description below and join up with the Facebook community. You'll get approved, and hopefully you can find a squad, find some friends to play with, make the content that much better. And really, there's a lot of value to that. You can post your build, you can get feedback, you can comment on other people's builds. We have an instant messaging app, like there's Q&As, there's a whole bunch of really great stuff there. So go ahead and join that if you're about it. One last thing, the patron. A huge thank you to, let me just check really quick what the name is. A huge thank you to Logan Martinez for your pledge. That, that just justifies a shout out. That was, above and beyond anything we could have asked for. So thank you so much. And then there'll actually be some credits for everyone that's donated to that. Anyone that wants to, the Patreon account is a great way to support, the stream that we're starting up, get better hardware. It's a great way to participate and, just support us. We will be doing a shirt at 10,000 subscribers, which is coming up really fast. I'm working on it right now. It's not quite done yet, but at 10K, I'll launch that. That'll be really nice. You can, buy that to support as well. And the Patreon is, going really well. We will never require payment of any kind from anyone. We will continue to do everything that we're doing free of charge and producing the best content possible, but it's a great way to support. So shameless plug there. Sorry, I don't mean to be a sellout or anything, but that's the way we're trying to make this a full-time job. We're trying to make this into the one thing that we do so we can provide more and more, better and better content, and it's working, and I'm really happy to say that. So thank you to everyone who's watched the video. Thank you to everyone who supports, and as always, have a nice day.